This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to Digital Perspectives, everybody. I am Brad Kimes, and you can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradley above at the top of the screen. Look at these numbers. It was just 0.3075. Now it's 0.3060. We'll keep an eye on it. Looking solid today at 30 cents. Let's see if we can get that push. I think a lot of people have been saying, if we get to 32 and get above that, we might be in a real good, strong position to push to go ahead and get up to 40. So keep an eye on that over the weekend. Obviously, another thing we're going to keep an eye on is the Ripple IPO watch. And what do we have this morning? Nothing. It's still nothing. But you know what? We're vigilant. We stay on it. And we will stay on it. Now, this came out yesterday. It was Lael Brainerd from the Fed talking about laying out the central bank's instant payment framework, and talking about Fed Now, about how it may not be ready till 2023 or 2024. Mickey B. Fresh and I talked about this back when they talked about the new Fed Now system and the new RTGS system. And I just want to remind everybody that the Fed Now system is really more of a domestic platform, the way they describe that. And I don't see, as we talked back then, and this may change, but I don't see an enormous need for XRP to settle through Fed Now because it's a domestic app. So if they're going US dollar to US dollar for the majority of that, then there's enough liquidity in the US dollar market, and I don't think it'll be a huge thing. So I would keep an eye on a heavier focus on the RTGS side of it than I would the Fed Now, although, look, anything they can do. And the other part, I made a video yesterday that I want to stress to everybody as well really quickly is, this is the Fed's projection of their timeline of them doing everything. This does not take in part if they were to do a public-private relationship. This could be ready almost immediately if they were to do a public-private relationship with somebody like Ripple, right? So don't rule that out either, because, when it comes to innovation and moving quickly and getting things done, the private sector always outpaces government and the banking system, because that's not what they do. So keep an eye out for that as well. Now let's move on, because we do have some real news to go into aside from all of that from yesterday. We have some push to get some resolution and clarity when it comes to taxes. Oh my, yeah, I know. Believe me. There's nothing that could crush views on YouTube other than writing taxes in the title of your video. Really. I mean, but you know what? It's an important part to this. And if we're starting to see this conversation become mainstream and move to the forefront, it's exciting to me, just in respect that there's your missing component, right? We're definitely poly-sign custody. Yeah. Market infrastructure continues to be built. Sure, the front side of this has been well underway and will continue for many years to come. But, getting this sorted out as far as what is what, there's a lot of different cryptos out here in this space that have a lot of different characteristics. Proof of work, proof of stake, XRP, consensus algorithm, all of these things have to be clarified and understood in a much better way than they are today. That is for damn sure. So this was a letter that was written by 4 congressmen, and we're going to take a look at this. And it is basically urging them to get some clarity on at least part of the crypto space, which is the proof of stake. We write on the subject of blockchain and cryptocurrency, in particular the taxation of the newer variety known as proof of stake. It is important that tax policy does not indirectly dissuade U.S. taxpayers from participating in this promising new technology. The Bitcoin network is secured by a relatively small number of miners who validate transactions as they mine new Bitcoins. In proof of stake, in contrast, all token holders can contribute to the network security by staking their tokens, and so many, or even most token holders, even end up holding newly created tokens. This means that the network security and proof of stake does not require massive amounts of energy consumption. That's important. Remember that. These new tokens, often known as block rewards, incentivize people to maintain the network and are typically carried out through a third-party service staking as a service provider. These third parties work to simplify the technical process, and we believe the taxpayers' true gains from these tokens should indeed be taxed. However, it is possible that taxation of staking rewards as income may overstate taxpayers' actual gains from participating in this technology. It could also result in a reporting and compliance nightmare for taxpayers and the service alike. That's where we're at today. It's a nightmare right now. Those who help validate transactions create new blocks in cryptocurrency blockchain and also create these new tokens similar to all other forms of taxpayers created. Taxpayer discovered properties such as crops, minerals, livestock, artworks, and even widgets off the assembly line. These tokens could be taxed when they are sold. American ingenuity can help drive this new technology. We thank you for considering our concerns as a part of our continual efforts to future-proof policy and tax regulations that will allow for safeguards, but also ensure that innovation won't be driven elsewhere. And there's the big key factor right there. This is David Schweikart and Bill Foster, Tom Emmer, and Darren Soto, who've all been bullish on cryptocurrencies and getting them implemented within the United States and getting a real tax structure developed here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, the other thing I wanted to go to today is to change gears, because the central bank of the Bahamas will launch its sand dollar digital currency nationwide in October. Now, this is interesting. We're going to take a look at this article here in a second. One thing I did want to say is that there was something down here when it dealt with the energy consumption of Bitcoin. I just wanted to remind everybody very quickly. Let's see if I could find this without too much trouble here. Oh, shout out to Hester Peirce, who has been confirmed by the U.S. Senate for a second term at the SEC. Congratulations to her. We know that she has an amazing insight on cryptocurrency and the safe harbor rule she recently put together. So that's interesting. Where is this? Here it is. Ripple put this out, and I think this is a big driver right here. The energy consumption of Bitcoin versus XRP transactions is staggering. Here's a deeper look into the sustainability of these digital assets. XRP is 57,000 times more efficient. Whoa! For every 1 million transactions, XRP could power 79,000 light bulb hours. For every 1 million transactions, Bitcoin could power 4.51 billion light bulb hours. Enough said. Getting back to the sand dollar being digitized and now having a digital dollar in Nassau, Bahamas. Sand dollar to launch nationwide in October. Now, this is interesting. Now, you remember there was a time, I think it was back in 2018, Brad Garlinghouse was on stage with Ross, I can't remember his name, lawyer from the IMF, and the question came up, will the IMF ever hold cryptocurrencies? And that is interesting, and we're going to take a look at that in a second, remind you of that. The digital Bahamian currency sand dollar is expected to be available nationwide in October, according to Central Bank Governor John Roll. Roll said there's been significant progress with regards to the sand dollar rollout. We are doing the work behind the scenes to complete the integration of the infrastructure with the rest of the banking system in terms of connectivity with deposit accounts. And there is also focus in addressing the assessment of the security of the infrastructure in terms of resilience of the infrastructure against cyber attacks and other mishaps. Once that work is concluded, we will have the most of the assurances we need to make the currency available to the wider public. We are anticipating the access of a national basis on a national basis could begin during the month of October. Really? We could do it today, but it's not prudent for us to do it until we have completed the various security assessments and have at least and have at least out some makers in terms of what could be the minimum amount regulatory structure around operation with regards to digital payment providers. Roll noted that between the money transmission businesses and the entities licensed under Payment System Act, they are 9 entities that can provide digital payment services. They are various stages of engagement with the central bank and participating in the digital currency rollout. We have had less intense but still engagement with the commercial banks around making sure that on a minimal level will also be tied into the system. We do not anticipate in the early states that the commercial banks will be sponsoring digital wallets. They are automatically able to participate in the infrastructure, even if it's only at the wholesale level. There you have it. That is exciting. Shout out to Nassau, Bahamas. Here is the comment from Brad Garlinghouse and Ross on the stage with the IMF, and the question comes up. Let's listen to this little 2-minute exchange here.
And not even specific to Ripple or to XRP's community. I think one of the things that will surprise us a year from now is that banks will be custodying digital assets directly. And I think right now we think about that and think, look, there's no way that's going to happen. They're too conservative. And I think what you're seeing is, two things happening. One is banks are seeing that a lot of money is being made by digital asset exchanges globally, and banks are profit motivated. The second, and as we've talked about up here, certainly Ross has made very clear, is regulatory clarity and regulatory frameworks enable banks and financial institutions to lean into these markets. And I think we will surprise ourselves by this time. And by the way, I'll also predict that it will be banks in the ASEAN markets where there is this regulatory clarity and there is a lot of progressive forward thinking. They'll be the first to actually allow for crypto assets custody in their accounts. All right, with that, we'll turn it over to questions. And I see a bunch of questions on this screen, which I can't really read from here, but we're supposed to pick some. Can you see those? Oh, there's 2 votes.
Let me try.
Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? Oh, they're over here. That's easier. You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you. IMF. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? I did not put that up there.
Remember, I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things. I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe I should take what the IMF is going to do. I think we
look,
stunned Ross into silence with that one.
For that to happen, okay, under the current legal framework, some country would have to use a crypto asset as its currency.
Uh-oh. So now, the question is does the digital dollar being developed count as a cryptocurrency? Or is it just simply a stable coin? Right? That's the question. But with that being said, the Bahamas is a country. So, we want to temper these things. We don't want to get too crazy and too hypey here. But the reality is we have to see what the IMF considers, the difference between a stable coin and a cryptocurrency. Because they're developing a digital dollar, which is basically, a stable coin, right? So whether that classifies or falls into the IMF's guidelines of whether that could be a cryptocurrency and they could adopt it is another matter. But at the end of the day, what I do know is that the Bahamas is making a digital dollar. The Fed is moving towards getting this system done. However slow it may feel, I think we see a public-private relationship develop and get this done in a much more expedient fashion. So really, really exciting times, especially knowing that in the fall we're supposed to get a full federal charter from Brian Brooks and the OCC. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to tune in later today when I release the Friday show Week in Review with co-host Dave Cryptopoulos. I will see you guys then. Until then, have a great day. Take care, guys.